Hi, everybody. So I just woke up. Um, I'm sorry, I just got out of the shower and did my makeup, but I thought I would talk about what's on my mind today in the morning. Um, a lot of the times when you're waking up to this, people will say things when you go on and on and on about this person. And mind you, you go on and on and on to their friends. You go on and on to complete strangers. You have this need to sort of vomit out your disgust towards whatever the narcissist is, whoever the narcissist is. And it's almost like an uncontrollable need. And this is why therapy exists. This is why people make lots of bucks listening to people. Because this kind of obsession with an addiction to this topic is so encompassing, is so overwhelming, that it's not possible for people to address this in an everyday setting. And you don't even want to see that. You see this as the biggest problem in the world. And mind you, that feeling is very justifiable because it's a common problem for everybody. Who likes destruction? You know, if you like destruction, then there's something wrong with you. And in fact, lots of people that are in relationships with these people start to like destruction, their own destruction, the destruction of other people. Because that's what violence does. That's what destruction does. It begets more destruction. And so we feel this overwhelming desire to state this problem to the world, to pose it as almost like in a lectural setting, the biggest problem that faces humanity. And that may be a very valid point. But then pragma steps in. The word pragma being pragmatic and understanding that, and this is through trial and error after you've told many, many people about this problem. Not everybody sees it as a problem. And you are not responsible for that. For people not seeing it as a big enough problem. You can only be responsible for you seeing it as a problem and no longer willing to allow for their behavior to unfold within your consciousness, within your space, whatever the space may be. So that's where your responsibility lies. It doesn't go beyond that. Even you cannot hold yourself responsible for other people's lack of knowledge. Period. End of sentence. And upon trying to enlighten them once or twice, you have to step away and unfortunately allow them to learn for themselves. That's the reality. I'm in a kind of a battle right now because I have an aunt that knows the narcissist very well, and she knows all of the issues, everything, and yet she still wants to ask the narcissist for money for the purpose of building a memorial. I can't hold myself responsible for her lack of taking this seriously enough to cut this person out of her life once and for all. That's just the reality. And many people may get hurt in the process. My cousin could get hurt. My nephew could get hurt. How far can I stretch myself? The answer is not very far anymore. I'm not willing to save people from their own ignorance if they want to hurt themselves. I'm not responsible for that. That's number one. Number two, is this problem is not supposed to be your only problem. You need to get a set of new problems to solve. And I'll explain why. Part of the reason why we learn helplessness and we have this feeling in our gut that we cannot do anything is because we've been trying all this time to solve a problem that is not solvable. And the best way, I feel, to feel empowered and to unlearn helplessness is to solve problems that you can solve. That's the bottom line. That's how you build yourself back up. And lots of people have the question of how can I get out of this feeling of being trapped and, in one place. And that's the answer. This day, have 99 problems, and narcissism is just one. And I will always see it as a problem. I will never kneel before these people again. Ever. Ever. That's just the bottom line. They will fear me because I will not play this game at any cost. That's number one. But just to illustrate this point, yesterday I got sick because we're like in the middle of winter, so in New York City it's kind of like a change of season just like it is everywhere else. The difference is here we have like schizophrenic weather where one day it's extremely warm and the next day it's very cold. And a lot of my colleagues are getting sick. And I got sick. And I have like congestion, a runny nose. And so yesterday I stayed in. And the fact that I could not move was the worst possible thing that could happen to me, because I started ruminating about, you guessed it, narcissism, because I had nothing else to occupy my time. And I come to realize that that is the problem. It's like now that I have the modality to refocus my attention, I really do. I find that the more time passes, the easier it is for me to think about other things and do other things. And a lot of it has to do with the nootropics that I'm taking that are for cognitive repair and refocusing. And I realized I need to get a new set of problems because this is a problem that I cannot solve on my own. It's too big. It's too vast. And if I keep beating myself up over a problem that I cannot solve, then I'll always be in this state of learned helplessness. That is the core goal that they have. They have this need to stop people from creating. And a lot of people have it a lot worse than us. I was watching a documentary yesterday about this woman who sorry. I was watching a documentary about this woman whose son, his name is Paris Bennett, and I believe her name is Christy, I could be wrong, killed his sister when she was 4 because he has psychopathy. And this woman had to go through all of the trials that we're going through right now, the grief. She had to visit her son in jail. And she had to reconcile with the fact that she will never speak to him again once he's released, that she will have to conceal her identity and move her other son to another state. The joy of having roommates. She had to accept the fact that her own son, who she loves and she's attached to naturally, is a psychopath, and she talked about accepting that he has a condition that he can't control fully, that puts him into a state of being a danger to other people. And she had to intellectualize that. And it's only through that intellectualization was she able to find her peace. Was she able to not suffer as grievously as she was suffering before? Even though I'm sure that this is something that she struggles with still. And so, this is one problem that we have. And she talked about not allowing her son's mental health disorder to keep her from loving people and the world. And because she recognized that the reason why he did this was to make her suffer. And she even said, I'm not willing to give him that gratification. And that's really, in essence, the point that we all have to go to. Don't allow them to dim your light. Don't allow them to deny you the right to have other problems, other issues that you can resolve. And that's really where recovery needs to go. What are your other 99 problems? Start thinking about the other 99 problems that you're going to have. And that's when they really start to lose the game, because now you're focused on the betterment of the world, and now you're focused on something other than them. So, kisses.